The life of a thief is not to be celebrated. In fact, when bad luck befalls a thief, nobody sheds a single tear for their tragedy. This is due in part to the fact that the life of a thief is commonly a tragedy in and of itself. Our story is about one thief in particular, not so unlike all of the others, but in his own way, very different. Jonas Jack Treegap, known by most simply as Jonas, was born in a small coal town in the state of West Virginia. His parents were simple, hard-working folk that never questioned their circumstances. Jonas, on the other hand, wanted nothing more than to find someplace more interesting on this big expanse of a rock that we all live on. From the time that he could walk, he found his feet teetering towards the boundary set before him. Wandering off and getting lost was no more uncommon to Jonas than eating 3 square meals a day is to some people. His mindset was that he was given feet to walk on for a reason, so there was little use in standing in one place for the rest of his life. Very little ever happened in the small coal town where he lived. Routine was very much a part of everyday life for most of the town residents. One day, Jonas informed his parents that when he grew up, he wanted to be a traveling insurance salesman. "Whatever gave you such a wild idea?" his father grumbled. "Well, one of them was lost in town today. On my way to school, I bumped into them and asked them who they were. They was real nice. They said that they could earn around $50 a day, minus traveling expenses if they had a really good day." Can you imagine? $50 a day? As Jonas grew more and more excited, his father's face grew exceedingly red. "You best get that out of your head right now. My son ain't going to spend his days blundering from town to town, hoping to sell something as silly as insurance. You already have a job at the mines with me when you get old enough." It seemed to Jonas that his father had made all of the decisions about his life without even consulting him about any of the choices. Ever since that day, Jonas decided that he would make a set of plans that he would discuss with his father that fit his way of thinking, and a separate set of plans that he would actually use when the time came. As Jonas soon discovered, it is one thing to make plans when you are young and another thing to actually do something about those plans when you are older. Life in the small coal town crawled by at a painfully slow pace. For Jonas, living there was harder than going to school and listening to his loudmouthed teacher talk about how if anyone in that school wanted a future, then they needed to leave when the time presented itself. It was like being told something that he already knew over and over. Comparing his life to the life of the travelers and adventurers in the novels that he read did him little good. Day and night, his mind revolved around the idea that there had to be much more beyond the peaks of the mountains that surrounded the sleepy coal town that he currently called home. Daydreaming was his specialty. The coal town was almost like a place that the rest of the world had forgotten. Technology existed, but no one in town had need for any of it. On occasion, people would get lost and find themselves stumbling through town and looking for a hotel. Those lost travelers were pretty much the only source of information that Jonas, or anyone else, had about the rest of the world. Almost all of the travelers would have cellular phones that did them little good, due to the lack of reception and surrounding mountains that blocked any hopes of getting a signal. Jonas would marvel from afar at the technology and gadgets that seemed almost otherworldly. He often wondered if the lost travelers purposely happened about the town just to prove to him that life did exist beyond the mountains. It seemed as if his hopes and dreams were coming to a halt when his high school graduation neared. Looking at himself wearing his blue cap and gown in the mirror only helped to make reality sink in further. His brown hair swept out from under the cap, showing no signs of compromising, even on a day such as this. He had looked and felt out of place his entire life. Why should his graduation day be any different?